Hello, and welcome, adventurers. Today in the shop, we have another one of my Magic the Gathering decks that I love so much, specifically Commander. This one is called Reconstruction. It is about Osgir the Reconstructor. It is a red-white deck that's all about making big tokens, sending stuff to the grave to make even more big tokens, and swinging on through with these big tokens, removing things that need to be removed. It's a really cool deck. It's a lot of fun to play. I really enjoy it. I come extremely close to winning several times. It is Commander, so I feel like you come extremely close to winning more than you actually win, and you lose more often than you win as well. It is a 4-person game, and at the end of the day, 3 people lose every game of Commander. So without further ado, I'd say let's get right into this deck, shall we? Let's make big me disappear, little me appear, and let's bring up the document. And here we have Reconstruction. This is all about Osgir the Reconstructor. Osgir the Reconstructor is a 4/4 for 2, a red and a white, vigilance. Pay 1, sacrifice an artifact. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And then here's the real ability, the one that I'll be using the most. Pay X and tap it, exile an artifact card with mana value X from your graveyard, create 2 tokens that are copy of the exiled card, activate only as a sorcery. This is a really big deal. For the most part, how I play this deck is I send as many things to the grave as possible, so that way I have as many options as I can get, and I start bringing stuff back slowly but surely, filling my board with 2, 4, 6, or 8 tokens based on which artifacts I have out, and it's a lot of fun. Now, another way that you could play this deck is you could just play the artifact creatures first and then get them killed or sacrifice them with his ability and then make clones of them later on, but I like to go straight for the clones right away. So let's get into it. Our artifacts, our most important stack for this entire deck is our artifacts, and we're going to have a lot of mana. We have Arcane Signet starting off. We're going to be needing a lot of mana for this deck, and so we're going to have a lot of mana rocks, because the reason why we're going to have a lot of mana is because we're going to need to pay, we have a lot of high cost creatures and artifact creatures in this deck to be able, and high cost artifacts to bring back onto the battlefield to make more of. And also, people are going to be killing Osgir a lot, because Osgir is definitely an on-target kill commander. So don't expect him to stay around for very long, especially after people have faced this deck once or twice before. They will not let Osgir stay on the field. They will use up removal that probably should be saved for someone else to remove your commander from the game, because your first thing could ultimately be the worst thing. And so you're going to need a lot of mana rocks, and you're going to need to make more mana rocks. And my recommendation is, if you can, use Osgir to make copy of mana rocks first, then creatures. Don't be a threat first for multiple reasons. One, if you be a threat first, you're going to find that Osgir is going to pop right away, and he's going to keep getting killed over and over and over again, because people don't want to see what he does again and again. But if you make mana first, you do a couple of things. One, you don't seem as much of a threat because you didn't actually summon a creature onto the battlefield. You just made mana rocks. But at the same time, and I get some people might find mana a threat and they'll come after you no matter what. But then if you did that, you at least have the mana to bring Osgir back to do it again and bring more mana. They only have so many kill spells. Yes, there's 3 other people that are going to have them, but not everybody's going to see you as a threat, hopefully, and not everybody's going to be using every single removal on your deck, because if they do, they're just going to die to the other decks, and that's what you can tell them. If you're just going to remove everything that you have, you're just going to end up using it on the other decks, and so that's just a little problem that we're going to run into. So try to use your mana rocks first to seem less like a threat, and also get out the mana to be able to keep bringing Osgir back as much as possible. Next is Battle Mage Bracers, which gives the equipped creature haste, which is really good because that means that we can equip it to Osgir and use his ability right away. But the more important part is that whenever an ability of the equipped creature is activated, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 1 mana. If you do, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. So for the tax of 1 mana on whatever you're bringing back a whole nother thing. There's 7 cost and 9 cost artifacts in this deck of creatures and artifacts that are really powerful, so much so that bringing back a second one for just 1 more mana is going to be insane. Blazing Sunsteel is one of our defensive cards. Not only does it give our equipped creature a little bit of a boost depending on how many people are left back, whenever the equipped creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target. This is something that if we get multiples of on the battlefield, we get 2 of these Blazing Sunsteels equipped to one creature or a couple different creatures, we have a way to defend ourselves and hurt other people. Champion's Helm is a great way to protect Osgir. It gives him a little boost to his power and toughness, but the most important part is that if he's legendary, which he is, he gets hexproof. Otherwise, it's just a boostable item on other people that we can make multiples of to give a multiple boost to a single creature or a couple creatures. Next is Command Sphere, another great card for us to get as much mana, but also it's a draw power card, so we can get more draw power out in desperate situations because we possibly made 2 of these or more. Dreamstone Hedron is a big cost mana rock that gives us a lot of mana and also lets us draw a lot of cards. Really great card for us in the late game and the early game. Well, maybe not the really early game because it's a 6 cost, but it's really great for us to get copies of, so that way we get a huge amount of mana on our board. Next is Fiendlash, which is a lot like Blazing Sunsteel. You give the equipped creature a little bit of a bonus to their power. You also give reach to the creature, which is a big deal because we don't have a lot of flying in this deck. We have a little flying in this deck, very little. And whenever the equipped creature is dealt damage, it deals damage equal to its power to target player or planeswalker. It's a little bit different from Blazing Sunsteel. And so it's a really great card for us to be able to do some damage from our defenses. Next is Gilded Lotus, another mana rock for us to get on the battlefield. Next is Heartstone, which reduces the cost of our abilities, which makes things cheaper, meaning that if we have Heartstone on the battlefield, we're reducing the cost of the exiling ability, and we're also, which we can then spend on, like, for example, the Battle Mage Bracers. That 1 mana we saved, we can now use on Battle Mage Bracers. Hedron Archive is another mana rock and more draw power. It's a really great card. Next is Idol of Oblivion, which is a great card for us to draw consistently through our deck because we're hopefully making tokens every single turn with Osgir, hopefully. But there's a chance that we could be getting screwed or Osgir's getting killed all the time and we can't get tokens out. Other options is that we can make a big 10/10 colorless Eldrazi token that will hopefully get us some bodies on the field if need be. Illusionist Bracers, whenever an ability of the equipped creature is activated, if it isn't a mana ability, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. So this is a great card on Osgir in which we use Osgir's ability to make a thing. It makes 4 of those things instead of 2 of those things, which is great. Then we have Lithorm Engine, which we have Lithorm Engine for the first ability, which is 2 mana and tap, copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. We could also copy instants and sorceries if we want, which is okay, but for the most part, we're going to be using this to copy our ability to clone stuff, so that way we can get more things out. And then we can also copy a permanent spell I control. Not as important, but we're mostly going to be using it to make as many clones as we can. Next is Mind Stone, draw power and mana. Necron Monolith is a great card for in here. It is a very powerful vehicle. It needs 4 to crew, but Osgir is 4, so Osgir can crew it if need be. And what it does is that it mills our deck, which is something we like. It mills 3 cards and makes bodies for every creature that we milled that way, which we have a lot of creatures in the deck as well. So most likely we'll be making some bodies to protect ourselves, and then we'll be getting cards into the grave for us to bring back. Next is Replicating Ring. Replicating Ring is an amazing thing to clone because Replicating Ring clones itself in a way. Replicating Ring after, I think it's 7 turns, no, 8 turns. After 8 turns, you make 8 replicated rings that also make mana. So it's really cool if you have 2 of these and you end up getting 16 mana rocks after 8 turns. It's a lot of fun. I've managed to pull it off a couple of times, and it's a lot of mana, it's a lot of fun, and it makes sure you stay in the game. Rings of Brighthearth. Whenever you activate an ability, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 2 mana. If you do copy that ability, you may choose new targets for the copy. Great way for us to be able to clone stuff multiple times. Soul Ring for the mana. Swiftfoot Boots for protecting Osgir. We got to make sure we keep him alive. 1,000-year elixir is a great way to give Osgir haste, so that way he can come out. You know, if they're going to keep killing him, you can at least bring him back out and keep using his ability the turn you bring him back out, meaning that the only way for them to stop him is for them to either counter him or kill him after he's entered the battlefield, but you can trigger his ability and so on. You can also use the untap Osgir to get multiple uses out of Osgir. Thrawn Dynamo, even more mana. Porn Power Stone, even more mana. Next is our creatures. Our creatures are really important because it's what's going to win us the game with this deck. First off is Albo Ancient Witness, which gives our artifact creatures haste, but also whenever one or more artifact creatures you control attacks, Albo Ancient Witness deals X damage to any target, and you scry X. So all those tokens that we're making, all those artifact tokens, we swing with a bunch of them, and we can hit somebody really hard. In fact, if we get enough artifacts out, we get enough clones and copies out, we might be able to kill someone outright with Albo, and then also hit everybody else, another player really, really hard with all the creatures. Bronze Guardian, Double Strike, Ward 2, gives other artifacts you control Ward 2. So if you get 2 of him out, immediately he's got Ward 4, and everybody else on the field also have Ward 4. And his power is equal to the number of artifacts you control, which you hopefully have a bunch of. So you have a really powerful creature here. Clay Golem is also another strong creature because you make him he's kind of like Meteor Golem in the way that if you make him monstrous afterwards, you can delete a permanent. Really great removal. It's not the best removal, I guess, but it's really good removal when you have a bunch of mana, which this deck will have a bunch of mana to be able to make him monstrous, meaning that you'll have a big creature. If you get 2 of them into play, you get 2 big creatures, and then you get 2 ways to remove permanents. Next is Combustible Gearhulk. Combustible Gearhulk, this is the only deck where you will guarantee that Combustible Gearhulk is going to get you draw power and not the mill. Because if they choose the mill, they're doing what you want and they're taking damage. They're not going to choose mill, they're going to choose draw power. Which is fine anyways, because if you end up with too many cards in your hand, you just discard what you want into the grave anyways. Either way, it works. Cryptothal, great card in this deck. Other artifact creatures you control have hexproof, so if you're bringing 2 back, they're giving each other hexproof, which means they're going to be harder to get rid of, and they give your board double hexproof, which means it's going to be really hard to get rid of anything on your board. Darksteel Juggernaut, really powerful creature. It's going to have its power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts you control. Hopefully with Osgir, you've been making a bunch of them. If you just make him, it's at least a 2/2, because there's going to be 2 of them, and they're going to attack every turn, and they're going to be dangerous. Next is Dismissive Pyromancer, which is going to be a way for us to discard a card and draw a card. He can also deal damage to a creature, but not really needed. We like him for the draw a card, discard a card. Same with Goblin Picker. Discard a card, draw a card. Jax's Troublemaker in here for the discard a card, but also for the fact that it makes a copy of something. So all these dangerous creatures that we have in our deck, we're going to be able to pop out additional sacrificial ones to go swinging for the fences. Lochiel Clockwork Scholar, great card. It's going to prevent the damage to our attacking artifact creatures, making them much more powerful, but also gives us the ability to draw a card whenever one of these artifact creatures enters the battlefield, which will hopefully be every turn with Osgir. Next is Mad Prophet, discard a card, draw a card. Meteor Golem, great card. It's cost a little high, but it is removal. It's going to get us a body in the play, and it's going to get removal, and if we're doing it with Osgir, we're coming in with 2 and removing 2 things. Mishra, Excavated Prodigy, is another discard a card, draw a card, and he also adds mana whenever we discard artifacts, so it's also really great in that regard. Mondrak, Glory Dominus, he's the only artifact doubler, or not artifact doubler, clone doubler, token doubler that I was able to afford to put in this deck. If I could, I'd put the other ones in here too. They're just gross. I love Mondrak Glory Dominus. He's able to protect himself by sacrificing 2 other artifacts. Chance has it with Osgir, you've been creating a bunch of artifacts that you can risk sacrificing a couple of them just to make him indestructible, so that way you can keep making more and more and more and more clones. Mere Battlesphere, great card for this deck, because not only when it enters the battlefield is it going to make a bunch of bodies, which Chance has it with Osgir, you're having 2 come into play, meaning you're making a crap ton of bodies, which means that with all of those Mere Battlespheres, whenever Mere Battlesphere attacks, you may tap X untap Mirrors, which if you had 2 come into play, you can tap 8 of those to give the Mirror Battlesphere +8 until end of turn and deal 8 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking, which is really strong, really powerful ability. Or you can spread it out and do 2 different people by attacking with 2 different mirrors. But it's also a great card because it's a big butt creature, 4/7. It's going to protect us, so it's a great defensive one to bring 4 bodies into play to protect us from wide decks, and also a 4/7 to protect us from bigger creatures. Really great cheater creature in this deck is Mirror Superior. Mirror Superior is a 2-mana 5/6. A 2-mana 5/6. I know, insane. The trick with him is that you can only spend mana produced by creatures to cast Mirror Superior. But with Osgir, we're not casting him, but we are going to still pay 2 mana to get 2 5/6s. Or if we have other artifacts in the play, possibly 4, 6, or 8 5/6s. Next is Ortheon, Hero of Lavabrink. He's in here to create more tokens on more bodies on play to be able to swing for more fences. Really great with a lot of these artifact creatures that I have that are like Mirror Battlesphere, which makes tokens. I have a couple of more coming up that makes tokens when they die. So he's really great with those guys and making more of them to make even more creatures and more bodies into play. Phyrexian Triniform is one of those creatures that I just mentioned where it makes more bodies when it dies. It is not only a 9/9 for 9 mana that we'll get 2 of, possibly more, but he's also going to create 3 3/3s when he dies, which is a great defense mechanism against board wipes. So you start the battle, you have a bunch of 9/9s in play and all these other creatures. They say board wipe. Next thing you know, you've gone from tall to wide, and so it's a lot of fun. Rummaging Goblin, another card to discard a card, draw a card. Scavenging Brawler is a 4/4 with Flying, Vigilance, Trample, and Lifelink to keep us alive a little bit longer. You can exile him from the graveyard to make a particular creature a little bit stronger and give Lifelink, Trample, and Flying, Vigilance, Trample, and Lifelink to that one creature in play as well. Which isn't bad if you have only one big creature in play and you want to get that one big creature bigger and you don't have Osgir and you can't bring back 2 Scavenge Brawlers instead. Next is Solemn Simulacrum, which is a great ramp card for us to be able to get multiples of. We get 2 Solemn Simulacrums, we get multiple lands, multiple draw powers when they die. Steel Hellkite is a great, amazing removal creature that we can get 2 of, meaning that they have to use 2 of their removal to get rid of both of our Steel Hellkites. Steel Hellkites is pay X, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X whose controller was dealt combat damage by Steel Hellkite this turn. Activate only once each turn. So that means that we can swing with 2 Hellkites and get rid of 1 other people's tokens. Now, it is dangerous if it gets stolen from us. It is very dangerous if it gets stolen from us because they can just pay 0 mana to wipe out all of our tokens. But hopefully that doesn't happen. So it is going to be a great card for us to use on other people to wipe out the creatures and things on their field to get rid of them, and also the fact that we can use our immense amount of mana to give it amazing fire breathing to hit really hard, and it's flying creatures, one of our few flyers. Steel Overseer is a great card for us to have multiples of, and it is put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature you control for a tap ability. You get 2 of them, double +2/+2 every single turn. Not to forget, they're growing over and over and over again. It's awesome. It's really awesome. Next is Triplicate Titan, another one of our defensive creatures, the board wipes. It is also a 9/9 for 9, but it also has Flying, Vigilance, and Trample. It is another one of our few flyers that if it dies, it will make a 3/3 flyer, a 3/3 Vigilance, and a 3/3 Trampler for us to use afterwards when it dies. So if we make multiples of the Triplicate Titan and we get board wiped, then we end up with 6 other 3/3 creatures that we have Flying, Vigilance, and Trample with. And then next is Wormcoil Engine, another one of our defensive creatures for board wipes, because it is a 6/6 for 6 Death Touch and Lifelink that when it dies makes a 3/3 Death Touch and a 3/3 Lifelink. So it's also a great card. And picture us with Ortheon, Hero of Lavabrink making copies of Phyrexian Triniform or Triplicate Titan or Wormcoil Engine, and then those artifacts, those copies die at the end of the turn, making all these tokens every single turn. And then last but not least is Zirda the Dawnwaker, which is in here because he reduces the cost of our abilities to be used. He can be used to make it that way a creature can't block. I haven't used him that way yet because I haven't had that problem yet. But he's really good to reduce the cost of abilities. Next is enchantments. We only got one, Bitter Reunion. Bitter Reunion is enters the battlefield, discard a card, draw a couple of cards. Really great card for us to start feeling our graveyard, but also has a really great ability that we can sacrifice it to give our creatures that we control haste until end of turn, making us be able to make a bunch of creatures and swing. Our instances, we have Big Score, discard a card, draw a bunch of cards, make some treasures. Chaos Warp, removal, possibly removal, could backfire on us. Electric Revelation, discard a card, draw some cards, can be used twice with a flashback. Generous Gift, removal, makes a token. Path of Exile, removal. Stroke of Midnight, removal. Swords of Plowshare, removal. Thrill of Possibility, discard a card, draw some cards. Unexpected Windfall, discard some cards, draw some cards, make some treasures. Our sorceries, Cathartic Reunion, discard some cards, draw some cards. Faithless Looting, discard some cards, draw some cards. We're essentially filling our graveyard with as many artifacts for us to copy and drawing as many other cards, more draw power, so that way we can keep fueling it and keep doing it. We are extremely weak to a Bokajabog or any other card that removes our graveyard or removes cards from our graveyards. We are weak to that. I don't have any plans to get rid of that except for removals. We don't have counter spells, sadly, so we're not going to be able to stop that. You guys build this. You can add the expensive counter spells. Next is Honor of the God Pharaoh. Discard a card, draw some cards, make a body. Hour of Reckoning, our only board wipe in the entire deck, which is to wipe out everything but tokens. Could backfire on us if someone's building better tokens than us. Pirate's Pillage, discard a card, draw some cards, make some treasures. Quarrel's End, discard a card, draw some cards, make a body. Tormenting Voice, discard a card, draw some cards. Witch's Mark, discard a card, draw some cards, make an enchantment on something, giving it +1/+1. As well as whenever this aura is put into the graveyard, each opponent will lose 1 life. Not a big deal. Our lands are Command Tower for any mana, Evolving Wilds to search out either one of the colors that we need, Furlcom Snarl for red or white, 13 Mountains, Myriad Landscape to find a particular color that we need, 13 Plains, Rugged Prairie for either red or white, Temple of the Triumph for either red or white with a scry, and Terramorphic Expanse to find either red or white, whichever one that we need. And that is Reconstruction. Reconstruction is all about playing Osgir, keeping Osgir alive on the board, and sending as many artifacts to the grave and bringing them back. Now, when it comes to Mana Rocks, you can either play the Mana Rocks right away, or you can sacrifice the Mana Rocks and then hopefully use Osgir to bring them back, and hopefully that works. It might be safer to play the Mana Rocks first, but if you can use Osgir to bring back multiple Mana Rocks first, that is the most ideal situation that you can be in. But I understand that's not always the situation. Be aware, if you play people with this deck multiple times, they will get onto it. You will be a kill on sight commander. So you will end up having to deal with Osgir dying a lot. That's the reason why there's a bunch of Mana Rocks in the deck, so that way you can keep getting Osgir out over and over and over again until they're out of removal, and then you make an army and they've wasted all the removal and they can't remove the problem creatures that you brought out. But then you have to deal with board wipes, but hopefully you've got more mana so you can keep bringing back Osgir. And the idea is to bring all these really powerful artifacts into play to get all these powerful effects, draw a card, discards. We want to fill our graveyard up as much as possible so that way we can bring them back with Osgir. And as you can see, the deck is majority pretty much all artifacts except for a few select red creatures that are in here to either clone or draw a card, discard a card. And yeah, that's Reconstruction. That's how you play it. I really enjoy this deck. It's a lot of fun. I remember reading Osgir and I thought to myself, I think Osgir came out in a equipment deck, which was weird, because I think he's way better at bringing back artifact creatures than bringing back equipments that need to be paid mana to equip. It'd be really cool if you could somehow fuse equipments with if you could fuse Osgir and Arna. I think those would be a really cool power couple if they could. But yeah, this is Reconstruction. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really do. If you guys want to talk about this deck, maybe there's cards you think I should add or cards you think I should remove, go ahead, say in the comments, let me know. Come talk to me in a stream if you want to. We can talk about the deck there. I'd love to talk about it. Otherwise, I hope you guys have been enjoying the videos. I hope you guys have been enjoying the streams, and I hope you guys have a safe adventure.